So Office 365. How many here are familiar with Office 365? Do you know? Great. Great. So let
Users? Does anybody here use Office 365? Okay, good.
No,
Google Apps? Any Google Apps users?
Yeah.
Both.
Yes. One for work, one for home.
Okay. So in this very tiny screen, so Office 365 is Microsoft's answer to Google, right? On it, you've got Google Apps. Let's be more specific here. So on it, you've got Outlook, Calendar, People, Feeds, OneDrive, and Sites. So what I'm going to, here I have my demo environment. I'm showing you Office 365, my demo environment. I've got some sample emails in here. I've got two of them. I've got a promotional video of that everyone wants to see of the Ice Bucket Challenge, and I have my fictional board meeting that I have to attend. So everyone thinks that my data is up in the cloud and it's protected and secure, and I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to back it up. Well, they couldn't be more wrong, right? So let me go off and delete this. And now let's just let me delete it permanently. Delete. All right, it's gone. Not even Microsoft can bring this thing back. Okay.
Just head to the NSA web portal, put in a request.
Well, we won't go there.
NSA has a copy.
Yeah, this is a problem people don't recognize.
Yeah.
Because the software as a service guys go, sure, we make backups, but the software as a service guy's idea of what a backup is and what its purpose is limited to, if we screw up, we can come back.
Yes.
And a corporate IT guy's, the guy who answers the phone in the help desk knows that 90% of the time that phone rings, not because the system screwed up, but because the user screwed up. And the backup the corporate guy makes is to deal with user screw-ups as well as it is
Layer 8 issues.
Absolutely.
8, 9, 10, the whole stack.
Well,
it's politics, geopolitics, and metaphysics are 8, 9, and 10.
There's nothing in the Microsoft SLA that protects the data from malicious users, from someone doing a phishing attack, hijacking your email address and password, and then using that to log in and completely wipe you out.
Most of the time, it's just stupid users. I mean,
yeah. Although, there is the CodeSpaces example where somebody got their AWS password and literally deleted the company, put them out of business.
Yes.
Because they were backing up from on one account, they were backing up from EBS to S3.
Yes.
And once you had that password, you just go, I'm going to delete the primary, I'm going to delete the backup, and and they're now all looking for jobs.
Yeah, the message here is you cannot shift the burden of accountability and responsibility from yourself as an enterprise to a company providing you a SaaS service of some kind. That burden cannot be shifted, right? For the accountability and the responsibility of doing the backups.
You recognize you say that as the guy who sells software to people who sell
That was
backup
my next
as
point.
SaaS.
Where's my data?
No, but
Is my data on my site?
No, but I said from the SaaS providers,
Yes, there's a
right? From the
difference.
SaaS
No.
application providers.
In this solution, is my Office 365 data on my site,
It
on
can
my
be.
infrastructure?
Yeah, yes, if you want it, it can be. That's the point. The
Yes,
point.
I want it. I don't want to rely on you as well.
No, absolutely. There are customers who are
You're
perfectly.
talking about as a company, I am responsible of my information, not about the data. I am responsible for the company information. That means I don't want to rely on you as well.
So you can keep the data up in with Microsoft. You can also back up the Microsoft Office 365 data to a different backup service provider. You can also back it up to another service provider and to yourself, kind of like down from the cloud, so to speak.
As long as I'm able to have all my company information locally on my site, then I'm fine.
That's the point. So that you can then recover it either back into Microsoft or into, a Windows machine, or depending on what you're backing up.
I don't care if it
locally.
takes me weeks or months, where every single piece of company information
Yeah.
should be available.
Bottom line, Hans, you can't look at the judge, and when the judge says you didn't have a backup, you can't look at the judge and said, "What do you mean? It was in Office 365." Like
Yeah.
that doesn't work with the judge.
Yeah.
You are still going to go to jail,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
It also comes down to ownership of the data, right? If it's in the cloud, you want it also because it's your data. Don't just leave it in the cloud because you don't know what's going to happen. You want to bring it to your local. You want to have it with you. That's your data. That's the big thing too that companies sometimes don't think about it.
Yeah. So continuing on with our demo. So what you see in front of you is our DS user. I've got some backups going on in here. I've got a backup set of my Office 365 email. I've got a backup of my team site, and I also have a backup of my domain. So I'm going to go to my email. I'm going to restore it. So we can do backups. The granularity of the backup can be all the way down to an individual user or an individual mailbox. But I want to, let's just sort by as modified. All right, so I'm going to restore these two emails. These are two emails I just deleted. Where do I want to restore them? Do I want to restore them back to their original location? Do I want to restore them to another location in Office 365? Or do I want to restore them locally? So I'm going to put them back to the original location. Yes. Yes.
Would there a possibility to see only deleted files, permanently deleted files? Would that be possible in the API?
It's not something we have. It's an interesting use case.
It would be a
It's a
good.
very interesting question. What's the use case you're thinking of?
Well, because anything that is not permanently deleted would still be in Office 365.
Theoretically.
Yeah, in their
Actually, I only should see here the well, unless we're talking about archiving or search restore, that is good as well. I mean,
Yeah.
but it would be nice if it's possible to have deleted emails.
You can set this up to
Now
back up.
you have an inbox now of 10 emails.
So let me kind of, you can set it up so that if you chose not to back up your inbox, but to back up just the deleted folder. If you could choose that, you could choose to implement that strategy.
No, because what's the what's the interval of backup? By the way, we haven't seen that on Office 365.
It's completely up to you. You can schedule it hourly, daily.
No, he's
weekly.
saying in the Microsoft tool, do you mean? They keep
Yeah,
three
yeah.
generations in the recycle bin. They keep 3 generations for 30 days, and then they delete them.
Okay.
But that's not what enterprise. If you go to an enterprise and you say, "Is that what your backup policy looks like?" No, they have way different backup policies, right? Now, Microsoft, of course, does that because they need to keep the cost competitive, and the more generations and retentions.
So this is where the emails are, because I thought there was some. Can you do a search in my emails? Can I do a search for subject? Because now I have 9 files. Probably in my inbox, there's 300,000 files. How do I find that email?
Oh, that makes me feel a lot better.
So this is version
I've only
13.
got
So this is
7,500.
version 13, Q1 of next year.
Okay.
We don't have that use case implemented
Okay.
yet.
But yes, it's possible.
That would take
to-
metadata.
It's okay. There's a few things you should be able to look for, like the sender,
Yes,
receiver,
absolutely.
subject, or even content of the
Yeah,
email.
absolutely.
So what we're showing you today is stuff we're working on. That's what we wanted to share with the group here today. So you're not going to see all the use cases. You're going to see stuff that we're okay to show you
You're
for
starting
now.
with Office 365.
We
Well,
already
we did Google Apps a
Yeah.
little while ago, and now we're doing Office 365. And the Office 365 that's coming out is for, of course, Exchange and SharePoint
Right.
online.
So let me just restore. So to finish this off, restore to original location. I gave my reason. User deletion, malicious intent, nasty employee. So what's happening is that DS client is connecting to DS system. And are you working? Come on, get the little mouse wheels. Getting the data out of DS system and pushing it up into the cloud. And restore is completed. So now I'm going to go back. And there you have my 2 emails in Office 365 on their site. By the way, that was a pretty good response. Okay.
And also to answer your question about the differences for it, yes, it's very, very easy to find out which emails have been deleted because you can always search, get the actual connect APIs for Microsoft actually allows you to see what's in there when it comes to email. You can compare that with what we have.
That was my question. Eh?
Yes, so yes, we could, and we could highlight them maybe in red. But again, this is a in production a product, so so things like that. We always take the feedback.
All right. So, continuing on. No, sorry. All right. Caveat emptor. So, we wanted to bring this information kind of to people's consciousness. People aren't, when they move to the cloud, they are thinking, they typically think, yes, it's in the cloud, great, it's there. Backup and is kind of at the bottom of the list, the last thing to think about. And what we want to bring to people's attention is service providers have limits on being able to pull data out of their system. Okay, if you go Amazon Cloud, you've got limits. You've got Google, you have limits. If you're not aware of these limits, you're going to get bitten by them.
Oh, I was using Google Apps for your domain, and the IMAP limit hit the IMAP limit just using their Outlook connector.
Yeah.
That, in the run up to an event like this, I could easily hit 2.5 gigabytes of PowerPoint presentations vendors sent me in a day, and now I can't retrieve my email via Outlook, and I got to go to the web interface because the IMAP is broken.
You got to wait 24 hours.
Absolutely.
Right, and they do this for quality of service reasons, right?
Yeah.
If they allow you everything unlimited and everybody else does everything unlimited, they're eventually gonna, have bad service.
Chaos and anarchy.
So they have to restrict. They have to put constraints around their service for obvious reasons. But like Carlos said, customers need to know about these constraints ideally before they move completely over to Office 365 or Google Apps or whatever application is that they're using, so that they can manage expectations accordingly.
Take it into account. If you have 60,000 users and you all of a sudden want to back it up and you have an account, restore, and you haven't taken account into your backup and recovery plans, it's going to be late to find out at the end.
And to add another thing, that's the things that, sometimes people say, okay, can you do Office 365 backup, right? Thousands of users. Well, we are bound by some of the limits. So there is some limitations of how much data we can actually pull. Some companies may claim that, yes, we can do it, no problem. As many thousands of users, but, the end user doesn't think about it or ask questions about, what about the bounds that you are bounded by the service provider? How do you handle it?
You are actually adding up to the what they are already
limits. These limits
already
are
pulling.
Some of these limits are at the account level.
Use.
Some of these limits are at the individual user level.
So it's very important to ask yourself, to take those things into consideration. So.
And we're not trying to throw them under the bus. We're trying to say these are things you need to think about before moving into a cloud.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to bring it up.
Yeah, the reality though is so far of the conversations that we've had about these things is they think about them to, getting back to Howard's point, they find out about it afterwards. And the objective is to bring this to their attention before. So a good practice would be to, before you migrate, all your emails or stuff, is to do a backup locally. and then migrate over, and then continue to back up that data on an incremental basis. Because a classic mistake that we've seen already is people move all their data to Office 365. They do the migration. There's a number of different tools, to do that migration and processes. BitTitan is a company that helps these things. It's a very well-known and used tool to do these migrations. And then they run into a cat where they need the data. And then what they do is they start doing the original backup. So after they've moved all their data, and by doing the initial backup from the cloud, they run into these limitations, and it takes them a long time to do the initial backup. So the concept is do the initial backup before, and then migrate your data, and then just do incremental so you don't hit these limitations and constraints. So again, this stuff is all new, and it's evolving the way people work with applications that they're buying from cloud providers. And backup is because we're a vendor, it's important to us and to the folks that we work with. But in many cases, people just rush to move to the applications, and then backup is kind of like their last concern. And so this is the whole point. So that's kind of it, I think, from us today. We wanted to bring these things to you guys to show you what we're working on, and then in Q1 of 2015, it will come out. So thanks for your audience, and
Any questions? Last questions, comments? No?
great.
What was that
Thank you.
method with the no?
Thank you very much, everyone.